Welcome back to the channel. This is Trendy Storm and you are watching second part of What if Naruto accidentally travels to the Middle Earth. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Naruto was able to keep up with the group on horseback as they rode to Isengard to see how the ancient tree herders of the forests, called Ents, had destroyed it and destroyed Saruman's war machine. Naruto smiled to himself when he saw it. He had seen what the defeated White Wizard had done to the area around the ring of Isengard to build his army of Uruk-hai and what the Ents would do when they found out. Of course, they were slow to find out about Saruman's betrayal, which Naruto knew because of how the creatures talked, and they had to see the damage for themselves before going to war. Even Naruto was surprised to see two hobbits eating and smoking on the Ents' victory field. When they first saw Naruto, they were a little scared, but Gandalf reassured them that he wasn't a threat and that he had helped defeat the Uruk-hai army. When they got to the base of Isengard, which was surrounded by water, Treebeard met Gandalf and told them that Saruman was up in the tower. "Well, let's just take his head and be done with it," Gimli said, knowing that Saruman would be better off dead than alive if he came back to cause trouble here again. "No, he doesn't have any power anymore," Gandalf said, looking up to see his old friend scowling at him from the top of Isengard. "Maybe, but I like Gimli's idea better." "Sorry," Naruto said as he jumped up to the tower and surprised everyone by staying there, then walked up the tower like it was nothing. "Where are you going, Naruto?" Aragorn asked as he watched Naruto casually walk up the tower to Saruman. "To return a chair I borrowed," Naruto said when he saw that they were confused by what he said. "And I thought he was weird before," Gimli said, noticing that Naruto was now halfway up Isengard and that Saruman was looking right at the mercenary. Saruman yelled at the demon fox mercenary, "You betrayed me, Naruto, after all I did for you all those years ago when all you had was your clothes," as he watched the man get close to him. "I paid my debt to you, and I see that now. There's nothing you have that could get me to fight for you or Sauron anymore," Naruto told Saruman, who was standing a few feet away from him on the top of the tower. "Really? And do they? Do they have the means to send you home? I doubt it. I was going to help you return home after my conquest of Rohan was complete, but you chose to join the losing side and lose your chance to be with the woman you love," said Saruman in a hateful voice. Naruto moved with incredible speed, hit the fallen White Wizard in the neck with one of his daggers, and knocked the man's staff out of his hands, causing it to. "If that's the case, Saruman, at least I'll know you're not alive to see it," Naruto said before throwing Saruman off the tower and making him hit one of the spikes in the water wheel below. "Well, that's the end of that," said Gimli as he watched the dead wizard's body sink into the dirty water. Pippin saw the body glow in the water and went to find it. "Pippin, give that to me, my boy," said Gandalf as he took the palantir from the hobbit and covered himself so that the great eye wouldn't catch the halfling in his grip. Grima yelled, "Lord Saruman," as he watched his once great master fall, and then glared angrily at Naruto. "He deserved it," Naruto said when he saw Grima pull out a knife and try to kill him. Naruto avoids the slow attack, disarms Grima, and stabs the man in the throat with his own blade, even though the man is trying to get it away from Naruto. Naruto watched as the slowly dying man died in his arms, and then he let Grima fall to the ground without having the slightest bit of sympathy for the little man. After that, Naruto went down to join the others, and they saw them looking worriedly at him. When Aragorn saw Naruto pull out his pipe and start smoking, he asked, "What will you do now, Master Namikaze?" "I don't know. Saruman and Grima are both dead. Would it bother you if I lived in Isengard for a while?" Naruto asked when he saw that they were shocked by his question. "And how do we know you won't try anything like they did to my people?" asked Théoden when he saw Naruto shrug. "I'm not into the whole take over Middle-earth thing like Sauron is. I don't want to crush Rohan under my boots. I just want to get home," Naruto said, knowing that this was what Théoden wanted more than anything else. "I guess the young mercenary deserves that much, as long as he doesn't think about making an army of Uruk-hai to destroy Middle-earth like Saruman did," Gandalf said, giving him a piercing look that reminded Naruto of the look Sandaime gave him when he was a child and got caught for one of his tricks. After Naruto found out the truth about everything, though, those looks and the one Gandalf was giving him had no effect on him anymore. "Like I told you, Gandalf," Naruto told the new White Wizard of Middle-earth, "I just want to go home." "I'll hold you to that, young mercenary," Gandalf said in a straightforward way. "I'll be back to check out my new home, but I'd like to talk to you back at Adora's about some important things about Sauron that you need to hear, and you need to hear them somewhere where Soren's servants won't hear them," Naruto said, seeing that Théoden and the others were confused. Something to do with Soren's plans? Aragorn asked, knowing that they had to find out what the Dark Lord had in mind for Middle-earth and stop it from happening. I guess, was all Naruto could say. Then let's go back to Adora's so you can tell us what happened, and in exchange, I'd like to invite you to join us in celebrating our victory over Saruman, Théoden said when he saw Naruto bow a little. I would be honored, Naruto said with a smile. Sometime later, Adora's. The night's events were fun because they were meant to celebrate the victory at Helm's Deep and honor those who died to get it. Many people were worried about Naruto being at this party, but the Demon Fox mercenary made sure no one noticed him by sitting in the shadows, smoking a pipe, drinking when he wanted to, and eating when he was hungry. The two hobbits were dancing and singing on a table not far away. They made people laugh and smile with joy in their hearts. In another part of the room, Éowyn was trying to win Aragorn's heart. He had politely turned her down when she tried to get his attention, but she was still trying to bring them together in some way. Naruto sighed when he looked around and saw that everyone was happy, joyful, and not afraid tonight. Naruto thought, they've earned that much, before he saw a young boy at his table looking at him and then looking away as if he was thinking about something and wanted to talk to the young mercenary. A few people were watching when the boy came over to him, and they were worried about what would happen. Thank you for joining us in the battle. If you hadn't fought the monsters, things would have been much worse, said the long-haired boy who was only a few years younger than Naruto. Thanks, Lil One. What's your name? Naruto asked as he let out a puff of smoke from his pipe. My name is Haleth. I'm the son of Hama, Haleth said when he saw Naruto nod when he said his name. My name is Naruto. I'm the son of Minato, Naruto said as he held out his hand, and the boy shook it firmly. Haleth asked the man, may I sit down and ask you a question? He hoped he wasn't getting in the man's way. Of course, Naruto said, indicating that the boy should sit next to him. Haleth sat down next to the Demon Fox mercenary and asked, why did you fight on our side? Your army was bigger, stronger, and had just destroyed the wall at Helm's Deep, but you turned around and crushed the enemy you were leading. Why? Because she wouldn't love me if I kept going that way, Naruto said, thinking about the woman he loved. Who? Haleth asked, still wondering why Naruto suddenly changed the way he was fighting. A woman. A very special woman, Naruto said to himself with a smile. Haleth didn't understand what Naruto meant when he asked, is she an elf or some kind of sorceress? No, but sometimes I wonder when I see that light shining around her. One day, you will understand when that special woman comes along and your heart stops beating for more than 5 seconds. Your body will freeze up, your eyes won't be able to look anywhere else, and your soul will want to leave the body to be closer to her, Naruto told Haleth, who seemed almost scared by the idea. Haleth said, I don't think I could let a woman like that charm me, which made Naruto laugh. He then ruffled the boy's hair and patted him on the back. Don't be too sure, young Haleth. If your father hadn't found that special woman in his life, you might not be here right now, and we wouldn't be talking, Naruto said to the confused boy who looked shocked by this. I don't understand, Haleth said when he saw Naruto smirk at him. One day, young Haleth, you will, Naruto said. Ask one of the others about this when you're older. They'll help you understand what it means to be in love. Then he got up and walked over to Théoden to ask him to get the others to talk privately after the party. He didn't want to ruin their fun, but it was now time for them to start making plans for the next part of the war. After everyone had gone to sleep and the hall was empty, Naruto showed them a map of Middle-earth and told them what the Dark Lord was planning. What he saw the last time he was in Mordor after catching Gollum, who had told Soren's forces that someone with the name Baggins had the One Ring, and how the huge army was like nothing anyone had ever seen before in the realms. So he has a big army, but that doesn't mean anything, Théoden said, not seeing the bigger picture. Not just vast, Théoden. It's big enough to be split in two. While Saruman was to destroy Rohan from his position, Sauron was going to move his attention to Gondor and crush it with his own army. The idea was to fight the war on two fronts so neither Rohan nor Gondor could help the other when they needed allied help. In short, his plan was to divide and conquer with men weak on both fronts as they are now. Saruman's army was bad enough, but are you saying that the Dark Lord's army is even bigger and much worse? Aragorn asked Naruto when he saw him look him right in the eyes. What Saruman threw at you at Helm's Deep was nothing compared to Soren's army that will march on Gondor's capital. You forget that Mordor and Gondor are neighbors, with only the mountains between them keeping the darkness from spreading faster than it is now. When Sauron hears that Saruman was defeated at Helm's Deep, if he hasn't already, the Dark Lord will send his army at Gondor because he's afraid that. How do you know all of this? Asked Théoden, wondering how Naruto knew what the Dark Lord was up to even though he wasn't with Saruman when Sauron was making plans with him. Because that's how I would have done it, Naruto said, simply looking Théoden in the eyes to let him know how serious this was.
If that's true, then the steward of Gondor must be told, and his armies must be brought together to fight this evil, Gandalf said, knowing that he would have to ride to the White City and make sure it was well protected.
Yes, but I'm sure Sauron has already started making plans for it. If I were Sauron, I'd strike here first to give the army a place to gather before heading straight for the White City with no opposition, Naruto said as he pointed to the city of Osgiliath, which was the key for the Dark Lord's army to take before marching to Gondor's capital. They will need help, that's for sure. Gondor doesn't have enough troops to fight Sauron's army, and if the beacons of Minas Tirith are lit, Rohan will have to come to their aid, said Gandalf, noticing that Théoden was thinking about this, which made Naruto's eyes narrow a little at that face. It was the look of haughtiness. Tell me why Rohan should help Gondor in their side of the war when they didn't help us, said Théoden, noticing that the others were looking at him like he was crazy. Are you kidding? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. No army of Gondor came to Helm's Deep to defend us, so I don't see any reason to send my army to Gondor to defend the White City, said Théoden, while Naruto shook his head. You didn't get Gondor's army, but you did get its future king, and he's been with you every step of the way, fighting until he was almost killed. Doesn't that count for something? Naruto asked Théoden as he looked at Aragorn, knowing that the man had been in the thick of the Helm's Deep battle. I will not deny that Aragorn has honored me with his friendship or that it has brought us more allies in the form of the elves and the Master Dwarf by his side. However, my people will not be so willing to join in this battle, as they want to defend the kingdom of Rohan and not die for another's unless it is a good cause. Even if they did, it would be just for one man, who may become its future king, but there is no guarantee as long as Sao. But if they were lit, your pride as a king wouldn't keep you from helping them if they asked for it, would it? If the beacon of Gondor were lit, would you answer the call? Naruto asked Théoden, who was looking away as he thought about the question. If the beacons were lit, Rohan would answer and come to Gondor's aid, but I know the steward of Gondor well, and his pride in his position won't let him give such an order, said Théoden, who had always thought the steward of Gondor wasn't worthy of his position and had only put up with him because of the old alliances. Leave that to me, Gandalf said, knowing that he could convince Denethor to see things his way and that it would be best to ask Rohan for help. So, the group decided to go to sleep and start making plans for how to deal with Sauron the next day. Given Pippin's past, it was not wise to underestimate a Took's foolishness or a hobbit's curiosity. While Gandalf was sleeping, the hobbit, who was always a bumbling fool, took the palantir out of its wrappings and saw the Dark Lord Sauron using his own to talk to Saruman. Pippin screamed in pain as the Dark Lord started to attack the halfling's mind so he could find out everything the Took knew. Naruto woke up first, grabbed the orb from the hobbit, and took the brunt of the Dark Lord's mental attack before anyone else could do anything. Naruto looked into the palantir and saw Soren's fiery red eye. It looked a lot like Kyuubi's eye when they were still separate beings, and its power was impressive. Sauron said to Naruto, "You. How dare you and Saruman take my ring from me?" Sauron knew who Naruto was. I don't have the ring of power, Sauron, and neither does Saruman, because I killed him, Naruto said as Soren's anger grew. Sauron asked Naruto, what? As he tried to get into his mind, but the mercenary kept him out and used his power to push the Dark Lord away. Yeah, but you should thank me, since he kind of wanted the One Ring for himself so he could rule over Middle-earth, Naruto said, noticing that the great eye of Sauron was getting more and more angry as time went on. Sauron asked calmly, then where is it? Where is my ring of power? He saw Naruto looking at him. I don't know. I don't have it. If I were you, though, I'd start your invasion of Gondor and get ready for the king to come back, Naruto told the Great Eye, who seemed almost afraid of this news. Sauron said, no such king of Gondor exists. When he saw Naruto smirk back. Oh, really? Who do you think helped Rohan win at Helm's Deep against Saruman's army of 10,000 Uruk-hai? Naruto asked Sauron as he looked at him and thought about this. Sauron said, so there is only one left, but he was more talking to himself than to Naruto. Like I said, you should probably have your army move out and crush Gondor before its king takes the throne and rallies all of Middle-earth against your forces. You know he will, Naruto said before he broke the connection with Sauron and pretended to throw the palantir away like he was stung while Gandalf put a blanket over the orb to stop the Great Eye from affecting anyone else. Gandalf was so mad at Pippin that he said, "Fool of a took." He stopped when he saw that Pippin was frozen with fear and had to use his power to wake him up. After Gandalf freed Pippin from where he was, the White Wizard got everyone back together with Théoden to talk about this. They found out that Sauron didn't learn anything from the stupid hobbit. They did, however, find out that Sauron did plan to attack the White City soon, and that he would do so with a large army that was stronger than Saruman's. Naruto told them that, just as Pippin learned something about Sorin's plans for the White City of Gondor, the Dark Lord was able to learn some of what the Demon Fox mercenary knew about them and the possible return of a king to the throne of Minas Tirith. It wasn't really a lie, but it wasn't the whole truth either. The point was to keep both sides focused on the other so Naruto could start making his own plans to get what he needed. When morning came, Gandalf went straight to the barn where Shadowfax was waiting for him. He then took Pippin and went to Minas Tirith to talk to Denethor before this situation got out of hand. Naruto, on the other hand, chose to go to Isengard and look around freely there. "Hello, Treebeard," Naruto said to the huge ent in front of him as he walked on the still wet ring around Isengard. "Hello, young mercenary. I take it you're here to check out your new home?" Treebeard asked as he saw Naruto walk toward the steps that lead into Isengard. "Right. I'll be very busy looking through the tower, so if you see me doing anything inside or outside the tower, it's because I'm making changes," Naruto said when he saw the ent nod its head to show that it understood. "I'm looking forward to seeing this place grow life again. There are so many new friends to make after losing so many old ones," Treebeard said as he looked at how powerful this water would be on the soil around them to bring back the life that Saruman had literally uprooted. "I know, Treebeard, and so do I," Naruto said as he walked into Isengard and made an army of shadow clones to take care of things there while he followed a secret path inside the tower that led directly down to the once great war machine Saruman made to breathe the Uruk-hai. Even though most of the water had washed away almost everything needed to make the Uruk-hai, Naruto had saved a small amount for himself and locked the spawning pool with seals he had made when he was here in secret behind the back of the fallen wizard. He kept it hidden with a genjutsu, since Saruman didn't know what was going on or what Naruto was planning. Unlike the other breeding areas that used to be here, Naruto had his seals change this one before he sealed it up. This changed how things were done and how the Uruk-hai came to be.
Unlike the others, the spawning pool he made could make Uruk-hai after Uruk-hai at his command while feeding off his chakra to make them grow, and it wasn't just limited to Uruk-hai either.
Naruto only needed a piece of skin, blood, or any other sample from a species to be put into the spawning pool. Then, he could use his chakra to bring out the creature of his choice. They made another army of shadow clones and put them to work on Saruman's plan. The real Saruman went back up to the tower to look at the different treasures he had collected over the years. After a few days, Naruto felt better as he left Isengard today. He had told Treebeard he had some business to take care of and would be gone for a while. Without the old ENT's knowledge, a shadow clone had taken a piece of bark from its leg and snuck it down to the spawning pool below, where it ate it. In the Tower of Isengard, the seals that made the palantir more than just a stone that could see everything made the dark orb that was the palantir glow a little. Now, this palantir was in a league of its own because it was linked to the slowly growing spawning pool and could only be used by Naruto with his demonic chakra. When Naruto wanted to create something, all he had to do was use his chakra on the orb to connect it to the spawning pool. He could then use his chakra to feed his creations and make them stronger. He couldn't let that happen yet, though, because Gandalf, the elves, and Sauron would feel his power being used to make them grow, which took a lot of it. That wasn't good enough for Naruto. Naruto moved quickly through the open grass fields that would soon be filled with Sorin's followers, who were about to lay siege to Minas Tirith in the next day or two. The mountains made it hard to get around, and the Dark Lord's army was a huge sight. The Demon Fox mercenary knelt down on the hill where he was and looked at Osgiliath. It was in ruins, so it was likely that a battle during Rohan's fight for survival had destroyed it and left it for Sauron to take before he started attacking the capital of Gondor. The Demon Fox mercenary took out his pipe and started smoking some more weed he had on him while he thought about what to do next. Naruto planned to stay neutral during this war for Middle-earth, or at least up to a certain point, since he couldn't side with either side. "I got the blood sample you wanted from the elves." "It wasn't easy," said a shadow clone of Naruto who had gotten some elf blood from Rivendell and done a good job of hiding his tracks. "Sure. Take it to the spawning pool, But don't let the ants see you or what you're carrying, Naruto said as his shadow clone nodded. Just don't let them see you or what you're carrying. Almost everything he needed was there. Just a few more samples and one more thing will complete his plan. Gandalf and Pippin were with them. Gandalf, can I ask you a question about the Demon Fox mercenary? Pippin asked as he saw the white wizard smoking his pipe and looking out at the mountain that stood between Gondor and Mordor. Gandalf asked Pippin, who was thinking about the mercenary, what about? It's just that the man wants to go home, but he doesn't know how. I wonder if he can get back to his world, Pippin said as he walked up to Gandalf. I've never tried to tear open dimensional rifts to other worlds, because it's been forbidden for a reason, and there are some places even I can't go. Naruto wasn't always a demon, but I fear the demonic power inside his body is slowly destroying his soul, and he will lose his sense of honor, said Gandalf, as he knew the man was dangerous, but he didn't know how to handle it, and didn't want. Pippin asked Gandalf, who was thinking about it for a moment, but if you could do it to get him home, would it be possible to send Naruto back to his world? It might be possible, but the energies needed would have to be dark and evil, since those are the energies that made the rift, so it will be hard to get him back there, Gandalf said when he saw that Pippin was sad about this. So you're saying that only Sauron or his Ring of Power could give him that? Pippin asked Gandalf after he nodded. Unfortunately, that's true. By the time Naruto finds out, the Ring of Power will either be destroyed or in Soren's hands, and Middle-earth will be plunged into a second darkness, Gandalf said, knowing that Naruto's neutrality in this war could change if he found a way to go home. Well, it's not like Sauron is going to win. Gondor has a well-trained army, high walls, and now the White Wizard. That has to count for something, right? Said Pippin, seeing the grim look on Gandalf's face. Sauron has one weapon he hasn't fully used on Middle-earth yet, the Witch King of Angmar, who no one can kill. You met him when he stabbed Frodo on Weathertop, said Gandalf. Pippin's face turned pale when he heard that and remembered what happened. So it'll be close, Pippin said when he saw Gandalf nod. He knew it would be a close battle and an even closer win. Yes, even with my powers, it's possible that the people of Gondor won't make it, and the White City will be stained with blood forever, Gandalf said, knowing that if Sauron won, everything would be lost and Rohan would be next. Before either the wizard or the hobbit could say anything else, a huge tower of light shot up into the sky from where Minas Morgul was. Pelennor Fields, 2 days later. The Witch King of Angmar and his winged beast led a huge army of orcs, mountain trolls, and other creatures toward the White City. This army covered the whole area in front of Minas Tirith. Soldiers from Gondor watching from the walls see a huge army with catapults, siege towers, and a battering ram in the shape of a demon wolf. Drums were beating to keep the army moving while Gothmog, the leader of the orcs, looked at Minas Tirith and then at the Witch King. Soon, Gondor will fall, the Witch King predicted. Gothmog asked, what about the White Wizard? He knew that the White Wizard was the only one who could compete with the Witch King on some level. I will break him, said the Witch King as he tightened his metal gauntlets around the beast's reins. As the army marched, Naruto watched from a distance, sitting in a chair and smoking a pipe. He could see what was going to happen. In reality, he needed a sample of blood from a few different animals here before he could move on and let this fight play out. For one, those armored mountain trolls would be nice to have around, and the orcs were different from the usual mindless rabble. Even though Saruman didn't make them, they came in handy when his line of Uruk-hai was getting small and he needed cannon fodder. He would also like to have the fell beasts that the Witch King of Angmar was riding, since they would be useful back home and make Konoha scared. Now, he had to figure out how to get the samples he needed. I never thought it would be easy. Still, let's see if the orcs can tell me apart from one of them and see through my trick, Naruto thought as he made a shadow clone and used a spell to make it look like an orc so he could sneak it into the army's ranks. Even though they couldn't figure out what was wrong, the orcs knew something was off because the shadow clone smelled different from them. A shadow clone in disguise quickly killed an orc in the back of the army, where no one really looked, to get a sample for the spawning pool back in Isengard. It would also be good to use orcs to help train the wargs that would soon be made and used against the elemental countries. This would give the Inuzuka clan a new type of dog to fear when Konoha was about to be destroyed. Naruto was thinking about this when the battle started and the orcs started to use the catapults to throw rocks at the White City. They didn't care if they hit their intended targets or not, because destroying some parts of the walls would cause the level below to collapse and kill or severely hurt the people of Gondor. As the catapults attacked Minas Tirith, the trolls moved the siege towers into place to take the lowest level of the city walls and attack Gondor's soldiers. But Gandalf wasn't going to let Minas Tirith go quietly into the night. He told the White City's catapults to fire back at the orcs, hitting several siege towers and coming close to hitting the orc commander. In response, the Nazgul flew down on fell beasts and attacked the White City. They hit several catapults and grabbed troops on higher levels, sending them to their deaths below. The siege towers that did make it to the wall let out orcs who were hungry for blood. They attacked Gondor soldiers without mercy, hacking, slashing, and even biting with the fury of wild animals. During the siege, Naruto sent another shadow clone to turn into an orc and get close to the heavily armored mountain orcs. Sure enough, when the shadow clone stabbed one of the mountain trolls in the leg to get the sample, the mountain troll got angry. This made a lot of noise, and the shadow clone almost got caught in the crowd of orcs while the orc commander was trying to calm down the angry beast. Soon, night fell on the White City, and the siege kept going, even though Sorin's army wasn't making the progress the orc commander had hoped for. Gothmog wanted to make up for the time and soldiers he lost during the siege, so he ordered that the Grand battering ram be used against the seemingly impregnable gate of Minas Tirith and that the city be taken one level at a time. When the gate finally falls, Gandalf is surprised to see heavily armored mountain trolls storming in first, beating Gondor soldiers away with ease because arrows only slow them down because of the armor on their bodies. Behind them, orcs are now swarming like a plague to overwhelm the enemy. At some point, the first level of the city fell, and the White Wizard told everyone to move to the next level, where they could defend themselves better. During all of this, Naruto just sat in his chair on a grassy hill near where the battle was going on and watched without doing anything to get in the way. His plans had been carried out, and if he got directly involved again, both sides would look at him, which Naruto couldn't have. It would make them suspicious of him, and they might go to Isengard to see if anything was going on in the tower or below it, where Saruman had grown his army. At first, they wouldn't find anything there because of all the water there, which, ironically, was a key reason why Naruto had so much of it and why the spawning pool could grow life. Even if they suspected something, the seals around the spawning pool and the genjutsu placed around the area would keep it hidden for a while. Naruto's real problem was getting back home, but the Namikaze thought the key was in the Ring of Power. Despite what many people thought, Sauron did not have to be killed by throwing the Ring of Power into the fires of Mount Doom. Everyone was so busy trying to attack the body's symbol that they didn't think to attack Sorin's spirit through the One Ring and kill the Dark Lord that way. Of course, no one had tried that before because Sorin's dark power was too strong for the people and creatures of Middle-earth to defeat so easily. If they had, Sorin's spirit would have won over the one trying to get in, and the person the Dark Lord killed would have died. Sorin's spirit was stronger than Naruto's, but Naruto knew that the Dark Lord was afraid of the Demon Fox mercenaries' power deep down. As night turned to day, it looked like the army of Mordor was about to win, and the blood of its people would fill the White City. But as one of the oldest and most true sayings goes, it's always darkest just before dawn, and dawn has now come. As the sun came up, the people of Minas Tirith got new hope when Théoden led a huge army of Rohan's Rohirrim out of the city. Naruto was on the other side of them, and he smiled at how well-timed the Rohirrim were in taking them down. He then laughed. Théoden rallied his men in a way that any king of Rohan would have been proud of, and the huge army charged the orcs, who now knew they might be in trouble. Since so many of the army were going straight into Minas Tirith, they had no real way to stop the Rohirrim from attacking them from the side and cutting their numbers by a large amount. While this was going on, Naruto was sitting in his chair and laughing his head off. He said that this was just too perfect and that he loved the way things were going. His smile got bigger when he saw that the orcs were going back to Mordor while the Mumakil, who came from the jungles of Far Harad, were heading towards the Rohirrim. The Mumakil were a much bigger threat. The huge beasts were killing a lot of Rohirrim soldiers, but the men's forces were not about to give up. They attacked the huge legs of the beasts and shot arrows at their leaders until they were killed. But the nearly certain victory came with a price, and that price was about to be King Théoden of Rohan's life. The Witch King of Angmar attacked Théoden with a fell beast, which knocked the King of Rohan off his horse and crushed half of his body, making it impossible for him to fight back against the leader of the Nazgul. "Feast on his flesh," said the Witch King of Angmar as his armored winged beast looked at the King of Rohan with hungry eyes and moved to do what its rider had just said. Someone from the Rohirrim who was now standing between them said, "I will kill you if you touch him." "Don't stand between the Nazgul and his prey," said the Witch King, and his fell beast moved to kill this fool who was in the way of its meal. "I will stand against an army of you to protect him," said the Rohirrim, pointing his sword directly at the Witching and his fell beast. The fool in question dodged the fell beast's head and cut off its head with the sword he was holding after a few hits. Even though the beast's head was cut off, the Witch King wasn't done. He got up from the ground with his sword and a big mace with spikes that had killed many people in the past. As the two fought, the Nazgul's opponent kept a safe distance from the Witch King's sword and dodged the shadowy robed figure's mace with the skill of a master. But avoiding the long-range weapon wasn't enough because the Witch King moved one step faster than his opponent thought he would. He destroyed the Rohan shield and knocked its user onto the dead horse, which covered the lower half of King Theoden. The Witch King walked up to his fallen prey, grabbed him by the throat, and raised his sword to kill him. "Fool. No one can kill me. Die," said the Witch King just before he felt a blade hit him in the back. It was a hobbit named Merry's blade, which had been enchanted by the elves when Merry was at Rivendell before the Fellowship was formed. "I am not a man," boasted the Rohirrim warrior as she took off her helmet to reveal that she was Éowyn. She then stabbed the Witch King right in the helmeted head with her sword. The effect happened right away because that was the secret to killing the leader of the Nazgul. No one knew that he could only be killed by a woman because not many women in Middle-earth charged into battle and fought like men. Aside from that small flaw, the Witch King was almost unbeatable in battle, which Sauron also knew. Up to now, Éowyn fell back onto the dead horse that had crushed her king. She watched him slowly die and see him look at her one last time. She could tell that he was surprised and proud to see her on the battlefield with a sword, wearing Rohirrim armor, and having killed the Witch King in battle. Even though Éowyn was his niece on his sister's side, he had come to think of her as his daughter. It was strange for him to feel proud of her, but he did, and he smiled at the woman as she tried to hold back tears. "I know your face, Éowyn," Theoden said in a tired voice as he looked at the crying woman in front of him. After a long moment, he closed his eyes and let darkness take him. "He died a great king of his people," Naruto said as he stood behind Éowyn and looked at the Witch King's body and the dead beast. He then picked up the beast's head and put it in a sealing scroll for later. Éowyn asked Naruto, who was on his knees and taking the Witch King's Nazgul's helmet off before putting the body in a sealing scroll, "Who are you? Why are you here?" "Me? I'm just gathering some things. As for you, I'd get treatment for the damage the Witch King did, and soon, unless you want to join Theoden on the other side," Naruto told the woman, who was staring at him in shock. Before she could say anything to him, though, the woman collapsed from the pain in her body. Naruto smirked as he walked over to the dead Mumakil in front of him and pulled out an arrow that was covered in blood from the creature. More than enough for the spawning pool, so he put the object away and went to the Mumakil riders. He was about to take some of their blood when he realized that his orcs could be used to tame his own Mumakil when it was spawned, so he didn't need a sample for the spawning pool. Instead, he had a few shadow clones secretly put seals on the Grand battering ram and then waited for them to finish. Naruto's time here was over, so he decided it was time to move on to the last part of his plan. He went to Isengard to drop off his genetic samples, but he kept the crown of the Witch King on him for now. He knew that his shadow clones had finished their secret job of putting seals around the Tower of Isengard and making sure they went all the way down to the spawning pool. He also knew that the small army he sent to Minas Morgul was doing the same thing there now that its garrison had left. Once he gave the samples to the right people, Naruto planned to go to Mordor and stop Frodo before he destroyed the One Ring and the only way for him to get back to his world. His partner. After a few days in Mordor, Samwise Gamgee told Frodo, "We made it, Mr. Frodo. We're in Mordor," when he saw the landscape of the cruel wasteland where the Dark Lord lived. "We have to be careful, Sam. The closer we get, the more danger we're in, and the Great Eye might find out we're here through the ring," said Frodo Baggins as they slowly made their way down towards Mount Doom in the distance. They found it hard to get close to it because of the huge army in Mordor, and the risk of getting caught was even higher if the Eye of Sauron saw them. Since leaving the Fellowship after Boromir's death, their journey had not been easy. They had met Gollum, made it to the borders of Mordor, had to go around a swamp, been taken by Gondor rangers, found out about Boromir's death, and Frodo had almost given the One Ring to the Nazgul. That was only the tip of the iceberg. Surprisingly, though, the army of Mordor moved quickly toward the Black Gate, where an army of Gondor, Rohan, an elf, a dwarf, a white wizard, and 2 hobbits had come together to fight the last army Sauron had. Now, the Great Eye of Sauron was looking at the army instead of the power of the One Ring telling the Dark Lord's spirit that it was close. Its call wasn't heard because the heir to the throne of Gondor was leading the army outside of his domain and trying to fight him on an offensive front, which took his attention away. He was more upset about the insult to the Dark Lord than about his own ring of power at the moment, when all of his attention was on this Fellowship army. As for the two hobbits, the volcano inside Mount Doom was raging, and Frodo Baggins and his friend Samwise Gamgee were pretending to be orcs as they made their way to the entrance that led deep into the mountain's center. The closer they got to the opening in the mountain where the One Ring had to be thrown to destroy it, the hotter it got. They had to take off the orc armor because their simple hobbit clothes could barely handle the intense heat created by the volcanoes. As they went deeper into the mountain, however, Gollum decided to show himself to them and fight for what he thought was his right. His obsession with the Ring of Power brought out the monster and savage in him, which made the former hobbit want to hold his precious again. Gollum had already pushed Samwise away from Frodo, and now he was fighting the ring-bearer for the right to be that, though for different reasons. One Namikaze Naruto, please. The two people fighting for the One Ring never saw him coming, not that they could have, but they didn't anyway, and the Demon Fox mercenary punished them with a few quick taijutsu moves. Frodo was knocked out and thrown next to Sam. Gollum was kicked into the fiery pit below while the One Ring was thrown into the air and spun around like a coin before it was caught. In this case, Naruto caught it with an outstretched hand and brought it closer so he could look at it with his own eyes. When Naruto turned around, he saw Frodo getting up off the ground that was shaking around them. Sam was trying to pull Frodo away, but the Baggins family member was too angry to be stopped now, and he charged at Naruto for having the One Ring. This time, Naruto hit the hobbit with enough force behind his blow to knock Frodo out. He then turned around and looked at the shocked hobbit behind him. "Quick, get him out of here. This place is dangerous," Naruto told Samwise as he picked up Frodo and carried him away. Samwise asked Naruto, who was looking at the Ring of Power with a strange look in his eyes, "What about you? You have to throw that into the fire to destroy it." "That's not entirely true," Naruto said, then put the One Ring on top of his ring finger, much to the horror of the hobbit. Samwise said, "No. Don't." When he saw Naruto look at him again with his blood-red eyes and heard the dark laugh that came from it. "Too late," Naruto said as he put it on his finger, and Samwise lost sight of his whole body. And into the line of sight of the Dark Lord Sauron. You have my ring. Give it to me now," said Sauron, staring at Naruto with his one fiery eye and using his power to make Demon Fox mercenaries submit. Or at least trying to. Naruto just said, "No," which made the Dark Lord very angry. "You dare to challenge me? I'm the Dark Lord Sauron. I rule over Mordor and soon all of Middle-earth," Sauron said when he saw Naruto smirk and start to make demonic chakra around himself. "No, you're not. At least, you're not anymore," Naruto said as his chakra swirled around him and then went straight into the Ring of Power on his ring finger. Sauron yelled, "What are you doing? Stop, stop." As he was suddenly in pain and his spirit was being thrown out of the Ring of Power. His power ring. "Because if I kill you, Middle-earth will be saved, I'll get a new power, and I'll be able to go home to my mate. Everyone wins, except you, since you'll be dead," Naruto said as he increased his power and heard the Dark Lord scream in pain as he was killed by it. Sauron was trying to fight Naruto's power, but he didn't have the means to do so, and the Namikaze could see cracks forming around the Great Eye. He said, "Damn you. My dreams, my ambitions, and my desire to rule over Middle-earth are all ruined because of you. Thank you. I try to balance myself out. I do a little evil and a little good to make up for my evil actions. I don't know if what I'm doing now is good or evil. Maybe it's a little of both. Oh well. The important thing is that everyone who matters gets what they want out of your death," Naruto said as he let out a powerful demonic roar and used even more power to kill Sauron. Sauron yelled, "No." In pain as his image in the form everyone knew as the Great Eye cracked and then broke like glass from a mirror. At the Black Gate, everyone could hear the cries of pain coming from the top of Sauron's tower, where they could also see the tower falling apart and the Great Eye disappearing. Merry yelled, "Frodo!" because he thought his friend had done what no one else could. Sauron's minions ran away and tried to stop the crumbling ground from eating them. But when Mount Doom blew up, the heroes of Middle-earth were horrified to find that their friends were no longer with them. They had been eaten by the lava of the Angry Mountain as a way for the Dark Lord to get back at those who had killed him. During this time, Naruto called the other ring wraiths and told them to come get him and get ready to serve their new master. Before he left, Naruto found the two hobbits barely alive on a boulder surrounded by lava. He quickly used a genjutsu on them to make them think they killed the Dark Lord instead of him using the ring of power they wanted to destroy. When the ring wraith came to take him back to Isengard, Naruto told it to do so quietly and without anyone seeing them. Isengard, at some point. You all know why you are here and why I called you here after secretly getting your leader back after he was killed by the woman from Rohan. As far as everyone in Middle-earth knows, you all died in the lava at Mordor with the Ring of Power gone and Sauron destroyed. But we all know that the Ring of Power is not destroyed, but Sauron is, and the Ring of Power is now mine to control. When one of the Nazgûl saw Naruto smile at him, he said, "If the White Wizard finds out what you've done, an army will gather again to strike and destroy everything you want to do. By the time he figures it out, it'll be too late, and we'll be gone from this world and all the other places have marked. I think we have a Witch King of Angmar to bring back to life," Naruto said as he took the broken helmet of the leader of the Nazgûl and put it on the chest of the former King of Men. When one of the Nazgûl saw Naruto walk to where the Witch King's head was and put both hands on the robed face, he asked, "How can you bring him back to life?" "Simple. I'll use my demonic powers and the One Ring to bring back the dead Witch King before I start my plan to take you all to my world," Naruto said as he covered his hands in demonic chakra, the Ring of Power glowing with the elvish tongue of Mordor written on it, and sent that power rushing into the Witch King of Angmar. Naruto's power made the body of the fallen Nazgûl start to spasm. His chakra power spread through the Witch King's body, even covering the helmet that had been crushed during the siege of Minas Tirith. The helmet started to change back into what it used to be, as if to show everyone watching that the Witch King of Angmar was coming back to life. After the fight was over, Naruto let go of the King of Men's hooded face and walked over to the Nazgûl's body, where he picked up the helmet. Slowly, the Witch King sat up. When Naruto gave him the helmet, he took it and put it back on his head like it was his own crown. It looked like he was in charge of the 9 Nazgûl who used to work for the Dark Lord Sauron. "How?" asked the Witch King when he saw the one ring on Naruto's finger and realized that he could only be seen because Naruto was using it. "Through me. I'll be your new master," Naruto said, knowing that the power of the One Ring was moving around in his ring finger. "We live to serve," said the Witch King, who was on his knees in front of Naruto with the other Nazgûl before their new master told them to stand up. "So far, everything has gone according to plan. I have the means to return to my world and take Isengard, my prized spawning pool below the fortress, Minas Morgul, and Weathertop with me. It won't be easy, but it's possible to use my powers, the One Ring, and manipulation from my palantir to open a rift to the place I want all the things I've collected to land when we get to my world," said Naruto as he. "And where in your world will we move to, my lord?" asked the Witch King when Naruto used the palantir to show them a ruin that had not been touched for many years. "The place where my mother was born in the elemental countries was once called Whirlpool Country. It was a medium-sized continent that had whirlpools covering part of it, which is how it got its name. All of the elemental countries are named after an element, animal, or something else in the area. It was destroyed in a war around the time my mother was born." Hinata told Naruto through the palantir, "Naruto-kun, I wish you were here. I'd run away with you to stop this stupid sealing my father is going to have done to me. In the next 2 months, I will no longer be yours and will belong to some old baka of a man for political gain." This made Naruto's heart hurt with sadness and anger at what was going to happen. "Hold on, my love. I'm coming. No one in Middle-earth could stop me from getting what I need to be with you, and soon no one in the elemental countries will be able to stop me from saving you from such cruelty," Naruto said in a righteous voice as he saw the Nazgûl looking at Hinata and feeling something like sadness for their new master. "We are ready to follow you, my lord," said the Witch King when he saw Naruto nod. He knew that Naruto's Ring of Power was making them slightly different so that they would do what he wanted. "Good. Now let's see if all I've done here in Middle-earth has been worth it," Naruto said as he turned on the seals on the palantir, which were now glowing red as he moved outward through Isengard and the other places he'd marked while knowing he only had one chance. Whirlpool Country appeared in the palantir in all its vast, but broken glory from when it was taken out of the world after the last war it was in. Naruto could feel the dimensional rift that surrounded the whole tower. The seals Naruto put in different places in Middle-earth were made to be sucked into the rift and then put in different places when they landed in Whirlpool Country in Naruto's world. Though for Naruto, the real challenge wasn't opening the portal to his world. It was keeping it open long enough to bring everything he wanted to the elemental countries without running out of chakra. But Naruto wasn't going to change his mind now. He put all his strength into this and pushed himself to the limit to reach his goal. Everything around him seemed to be turning into long, blurry lines, and the Namikaze could only scream in pain as he and everything else around him were pulled into the dimensional rift. Before he passed out from stress, the last thing on Naruto's mind was the image of his mate. He had sworn that not even death, if that was what was coming, would stop the mercenary from protecting Hinata and crushing the people who want to hurt her. Naruto looked at Whirlpool country from the top of the tower at Isengard. He saw that he had a lot to work with since this country had been destroyed when his parents were genin and the third Hokage was not yet ready to retire. In his mother's home country, the fields needed to be cleaned, the buildings needed to be fixed, and just about everything else was broken and needed to be fixed. Luckily, Naruto had the money, strength, and power to make it all happen, and an army is now forming below. Naruto made sure that the orcs, elves, and Uruk-hai in his spawning pool remembered how to do what he told them to do like it was second nature. His forces knew how to forge, build, fight, shoot arrows, use swords, and do just about everything else. After making sure that all of his body parts were still there, Naruto went to make sure that everything he brought with him from Middle-earth was still there. He then put his big plan for the elemental countries into action. First, his Nazgul needed a way to get around, so he gave them all 9 of their fell beasts right away. He also gave them horses in case they stayed on the main continent of the elemental countries. Due to the damage done to Whirlpool, the next step was to rebuild and fix different parts of the town. The orcs he made worked hard to do their part, while the elves went to work in the forges to make their armor and weapons and get ready for the war that was coming. For now, there wasn't a need to make a lot of Uruk-hai like there was with elves and orcs, so they were being made at a slower rate. What mattered was making Whirlpool the start of the end for each part of the elemental countries, starting with Konoha and Fire Country. He also made Ents at a normal rate because he needed them to keep the forests of his mother's homeland under control and make sure the orcs didn't take more than they needed. "My lord, what do you want us to do first?" The Witch King said this while he was riding his fallen beast and waiting for Naruto to give him orders. "First, we need to find out what's changed since I've been here a few years, and I know just the person to ask. Go to Wind Country and see Suna. Go find Sabaku no Gaara and tell him an old friend with 9 demon tails wants to talk to his brother," Naruto told the Witch King, who nodded and flew off into the clouds so no one could see him. "My lord, the ports are almost done. Soon, we'll start making the ships you need to sail the seas," one of the orcs behind Naruto said. "That's great. Keep me up to date on what's going on," Naruto said when he saw the orc bow and walk away. Then an elf came and showed him some of the weapons that his people made. "Lord, these weapons are just about done. We can make great weapons because Whirlpool has a lot of metal ore under the ground," the elf said as he showed Naruto one of the swords the Namikaze had asked to be made like a samurai sword, but with runes on the blade to find bloodline users, just like some blades the elves made in Middle-earth to find orcs. "That's great." When the elf nodded and left him to think about other things, Naruto said, "I expect a sheath for this one soon." Like his mate, who could feel him coming back even now and was silently thrilled by this news. Last night, Naruto had a nice dream in which he saw his vixen again and told her good news. Hinata wanted to know when he would come get her, and Naruto told her that it would be a while because Konoha wanted him dead for killing Uchiha Sasuke. Hinata knew that Naruto would help her get out of the leaf when the time was right and when her love had the power to stop the Hyuga woman from being taken away from them. "My lord, what do you want from me?" The Nazgul called the Knight of Umbar by that name. "Yes. I want you and your brothers to fly through the elemental countries. I want you to find out who is having problems. Those that are ready to be taken over in the future. Also, if you find any dragon samples, let me know. I'd like to add a few to the spawning pool to make us stronger," Naruto said as he watched the other Nazgul get the order and fly away. The orc in charge of the project said, "Weathertop is almost fixed, my lord." Naruto said to the orc, who had bowed and started to do what he was told, "Good. Make sure an armory is built on top of it and a hidden supply depot is built underneath it, just in case." Naruto walked down to what he thought was the command area of the tower, where the palantir was, and turned it on to look around and see what the Nazgul might miss. With it, he could see that Gaara was the cage of Suna and that his secretary was trying to hide her blush while giving him paperwork to do. Naruto laughed at that because he knew that Gaara had been isolated from the rest of the village for so long that he didn't know he was a girl and would need help from his sister to become a man. Naruto moved the orb to Lightning Country and started looking for another member of his family. He saw the Nibi vessel Ni Yugito, who was badly hurt and running for her life, while he was doing this. She was being chased by members of the Akatsuki, and seeing one of his sisters being hunted like an animal made the Namikaze's blood boil. The Dark Marshal, one of Naruto's Nazgul, was nearby, so Naruto told the Ring Wraith to save the Nibi ship from the Akatsuki members while killing the 2 Akatsuki members. As Naruto explored more of the elemental countries, he saw a sad woman in a palace in what he thought was Snow Country. The Namikaze found out why she was sad. The woman's advisors had hidden marks of the leaf on their hands or necks. This meant that they were tied to Konoha and would put the interests of the country behind those of the leaf. When Naruto looked back at the woman, he saw that she was an actress named Fujikaze Yukie. However, he heard through the palantir that these so-called royal advisors were calling her Princess Koyuki and trying to get her to do things that would help the leaf more than Snow Country. But what surprised Naruto was that the name of the country was different from how he remembered it. Instead, it was now called Spring Country. Hinata says that it happened when Leaf Genin Team 8 and Team 9 used a machine to bring that season to the country when Tsunade gave them the mission. He almost forgot about that. But it was clear that the Leaf had made a lot of friends in the country after the mission was over and now had a lot of power there. The train system in the country would be a great way for Whirlpool to get around if he could get the plans to make his own. Naruto wouldn't take it by force though. He thought they could be won through talks with the princess, and he might even join forces with her to get rid of those bureaucrats and free the country. Naruto turned the palantir away from Spring Country and focused on Water Country, where he saw that the Mist Village was finally getting back on its feet with the new Mizukage. A beautiful woman with red hair and a body that could break a man's neck when he turned his head to look at her, killing him in the process. Though she seemed to be struggling with the fact that her village was falling apart because of the last Mizukage and what he did to weaken it before the coup against him worked. So much suffering, and so little time to fix it. The human race had turned the elemental countries into a cancerous place, and only a small number of people were trying to stop it. Naruto knew that the only way to get rid of this evil was to let loose an even worse evil and use his slowly growing war machine to burn this cancer away. During his war, darkness and fire would cover the whole world, but the tumor that the human race had made in itself would be destroyed. People who wanted to make the world more stable would be shown mercy and even given a chance to join his army to help end the hypocrisy that had been going on for so long. First, he had to put together an army and give them good generals who could lead them into battle. Naruto thought of quite a few, but first he had to get them back and prove that his side was the winner. Naruto could make them see and understand why it was better to be on his side than in his way by using the Ring of Power. Konoha Weekly Progress. Every day since it was founded hundreds of years ago by members of the Senju clan, the Uchiha clan, and other clans, along with civilians, Konoha has been full of activity. It is the strongest shinobi village in all of the elemental countries. But today was much busier than usual because merchants, foreign dignitaries, and possible clients who needed help from the Leaf were spreading rumors. There were rumors that something was moving east of Fire Country, where Whirlpool Country used to be but hasn't been lived in since it was destroyed a long time ago. People thought that someone was trying to bring Whirlpool back to its former glory, so they sent out spies from different villages. The spies were never heard from again, and their heads were found falling from the sky over the villages where they came from. Another problem, at least for Kumo, was that they had lost their Nibi vessel, which was said to have been taken by an unknown force from Whirlpool. This made the Raikage very angry. It didn't matter to the man that 2 bodies of S-class missing nin from the Akatsuki organization, who were looking for Ni Yugito, were found where she was last seen. They were just dark smears on the ground. The only clue Kumo had was that whoever took the Nibi ship had made a loud scream that scared everything within 10 miles into hiding. Even scarier for Konoha were rumors that Sabaku no Gaara had met the leader of this shadowy force in Whirlpool and that the Kazekage had a smile on his face that scared the crap out of his older siblings when they saw it, since they knew that since Naruto's disappearance 4 years ago at the Valley of the End, Gaara never smiled unless he was killing someone strong. But what scared them the most was that this smile wasn't one of those. There was also a story that horse riders dressed in all black were riding around the elemental countries looking for something or someone at the request of their master in Whirlpool. No one knew what they were looking for, but they came so close to Iwa to look that rumors started going around that Iwa was now working with them. Even though Iwa denied it, the rumors kept getting bigger and bigger until everyone in the elemental countries knew that there was a new, mysterious force at work coming from Whirlpool. Overall, it made a lot of people nervous, including the Fire Daimyo, who told the Hokage to find out what was going on. Tsunade then told Jiraiya to send some spies to Whirlpool, but it seemed like as soon as they left, the spies were found out, and their heads fell from the sky onto the people in the village. The councils had asked for a reconnaissance force to go to Whirlpool to find out who was in charge of this power and stop them from becoming a threat to Konoha. Tsunade couldn't order it, though, because history showed that spies were brutally killed and their heads cut off soon after leaving the Leaf to go to Whirlpool. She knew that the same thing would happen to any recon team sent there. Another thing that bothered Tsunade about Jiraiya's spy network on the Akatsuki was that they were now paying attention to this new player from Whirlpool because they had lost 2 members of the group who were said to be immortal. Jiraiya's own spy in the Akatsuki said that Hidan, a Jashin fanatic from Yugakure, and Kakuzu, an undead man from Takigakure, were the only 2 members of the group to die. Not easy, since both of them are thought to be immortal for different reasons. Have you found Naruto yet? Tsunade asked Jiraiya, who was sitting in the chair across from her in the Hokage's office. She knew that finding Naruto was one of the side missions she had given Jiraiya. No. The brats haven't been seen in 4 years and aren't likely to come back soon. I'll never understand why he's stayed away from us for so long. Jiraiya said, the kid shouldn't even be able to do anything, since being in Konoha should have stunted his growth. Tsunade nodded, but they both knew there was something off about the blonde, and they couldn't shake the feeling that Naruto may have been holding back his true strength. Though they didn't know how he got that, because the Sandaime had told them that their godson was being stopped from becoming a strong shinobi like they wanted, and they had no reason to think that their former sensei would lie. Then again, the Sandaime might have been lying, but it wasn't likely because the old man spent most of his time behind this desk doing paperwork and had no real way to help their godson. The man's secretary, who was inherited by Tsunade and hated Naruto with all her heart, told her that Sandaime was always on time to do the huge amount of legal paperwork that was meant to drown him for days at a time with no way out. Then why do I feel like something is missing? Jiraiya thought this when he saw Tsunade thinking the same thing and being bothered by it. Look for him, Jiraiya. I have a feeling that he is behind this. Jiraiya. Someone like Naruto can't go missing for this long and come back without learning a few tricks, said Tsunade as she saw Jiraiya nod and get his spy network on it. Hiashi and the Hyuga elders are getting antsy. They wanted to seal Hinata soon and send her to her new husband in the Fire Country capital by the end of the month. Now they are worried about going through with it because there is no guarantee that she will be safe, Jiraiya said. He had been asked to help change the cagebird seal so that the girl's future husband would be able to use it. Tsunade said, I'll talk to the girl's future husband and ask if he can set up a protective transport detail with a few of our shinobi to make everyone feel better. She knew the girl loved Naruto and that this marriage would destroy the Hyuga girl inside. It didn't matter to Tsunade. She couldn't be with the person she loved, so why should Hinata be treated differently? She might have been angry, but the fact that Hinata chose to love Naruto didn't sit well with her, so she let this arranged marriage happen to crush any hope of them being together. Have you noticed that the girl is feeling different? She's been happier lately, and you can tell. It looks like she's been seeing someone behind her back, Jiraiya said when she saw Tsunade's eyes getting hard. I'll have some Anbu follow her and have Kurenai keep an eye on the situation, Tsunade said. She wanted to make sure Hinata wasn't seeing Naruto, and if she was, what would she do? Then Tsunade would have to find her own way to deal with it. 2 weeks after, Whirlpool. Naruto said, it's finally time, knowing he couldn't wait any longer to save Hinata. He called all his Nazgul and his current group of generals to him. The Witch King said, you called us, Master? As he watched Naruto look into the palantir and see the carriage leave the Fire Country capital and head to the Leaf early to pick up Hinata after the sealing was done. I have something important for you to do. One of the most important jobs you will ever have is to serve me, my Nazgul. Get on your beasts and fly to Konoha to save my mate from a horrible life if we don't do anything. Go quickly. Naruto said when he saw the Nazgul nod and walk toward their fell beasts. Yugito asked Naruto, who was looking at the beautiful Hyuga through the orb, what do you need us for? Roshi and Han, both from Iwa, were standing next to her and watching Naruto. To let you know that the armies will soon be leaving. We still need to add one more person to our group before we can. Until then, be ready to leave and keep your minds on you, Naruto told the 3, who all nodded because they knew who he was talking about. It's hard to find her. Roshi said, like her village, when he saw Naruto nod and knew that Naruto had heard the rumors about Taki. That's true, but the Nazgul who killed Kakuzu got the location of the village from the missing before he died. They also made sure the missing knew what it meant to fight a demon's agent, Naruto said as he felt the ring of power pulse again, making him even more angry about how things turned out for this world. In a separate matter, the Wave Daimyo is willing to trade with you, but we made sure that the terms didn't include weapons or anything else that could be used against us, Han said. Naruto had asked Han to go see the man and work out the details so that Naruto could see that not all humans hated what he was. He had a point. They still remember me after all this time. I guess you saw the bridge and someone told you it was named after me. I gave them hope, and do you know what the leaf gives them in return for not changing the name of it? Wave is taxed, and the contract between the two countries lets them do this. It makes me sick to see such a misuse of power over the name of a bridge that Konoha wanted to be renamed after Uchiha Sasuke after he died in the Valley of the End, Naruto said as he moved the palantir's focus to the two graves of Zabuza and Haku saw that neither grave had been disturbed. I heard that the Uchiha had betrayed their clan and was planning to join Orochimaru. Before he and Han left, Roshi heard from Iwa that the leaf said Uchiha Sasuke had planned to fight the Sannin when he was weak to get revenge for the Sandaime. Iwa's reports about it are the most accurate. Who did you think killed the Uchiha in the first place? Naruto laughed as he saw the others look at him in surprise. So the reward for your capture is real. They think you're a traitor because you killed the Uchiha and might have helped Orochimaru during the Leaf invasion, Han told the former mercenary, who was laughing like it was a joke. I haven't laughed that hard in a long time. I was the Leaf's most loyal shinobi. I put up with their nonsense for years before I even thought about betraying them. When I found out the truth about my life, I trained to get strong enough to stop people like the Uchiha and others like him for good. In reality, it was the whole Leaf village that betrayed me and both sides of my family. They have a lot to answer for, Naruto said at the end in a dangerous tone. All the villages that wronged our brothers and sisters do, Han said. He was angry at his own village, and Roshi felt the same way. Suna is the only one who doesn't have to. They feel bad about what they did, and now Gaara is their cage. They should be saved, Naruto said when he saw the three of them nod. What's up with Kumo? Killer Bee is the Raikage's younger brother, Yugito said when he saw Naruto use the palantir to watch Kumo and Killer Bee train his team while focusing on Kumo. Was he abused? Naruto asked in a calm voice, but there was a hint of anger in his voice. A few attempts to kill him. A few beatings, but that was because the previous Raikage told them to, and made sure his brother wasn't treated badly, Yugito said as he watched Naruto think about what to do. Nothing bad will happen to Kumo, but I don't want you to go back and tell them anything about Whirlpool that could lead to my death, Naruto said. He knew that once you swore to be loyal to him, you couldn't break that promise. Yugito said, I understand, my lord, because she knew it was her job to be loyal to Naruto and keep any secrets she knew to herself. My lord, Captain Reyes just sent me a message from his ship saying that they have docked at a secret spot and the Ents have gotten off to head to Konoha to take a key position there on your orders, an orc said, handing Naruto the message to read. The Namikaze smiled, knowing that the Ents would be one of his cards to play when the time came. That's great. Send a bird to tell Captain Reyes to come back for now. Naruto said, I'll need his ship to come back so I can use it again, as the orc bowed and left to do just that. Han asked, can the Ents really get that deep into the leaf without anyone noticing? He knew that many had tried in the past, but only Orochimaru, with Suna's help during the Chunin exams, had done it the best. Where they're going, they'll blend right in, and by the time people figure out they're not just trees, it'll be too late, Naruto said, knowing where to have the Ents stand when it was time to attack the leaf. Is the army ready, though? Roshi didn't question Naruto because he knew better than to, but he didn't like leaving his new home unprotected and open to attacks from outsiders. Don't worry, they'll be Roshi. There will be a lot of my troops left here in case I need to defend Whirlpool. Naruto said, the trick will be to get such a large force to Konoha in a short amount of time and make sure there's a large enough clearing for them while making sure no one gets away from all four corners of the leaf. He knew his timing would have to be perfect for this to work. What about the spies you sent into the leaf? Can you trust them? Yugito said that she had a big part to play in this war against the leaf, which is why she was coming along and putting her part of the plan into action. I don't have any doubts. When my elf went up to them behind their backs and told them who was in charge in Whirlpool, they asked to join me right away. When my elf asked why he should tell me about their offer, they said it was because the village had become weak, full of pride, and against everything it used to stand for. They know how the leaf works almost as well as I do, and while their rank doesn't give them access to key places I'd like them to, they can do what they need to do in other ways, Naruto said as he saw the Nibi vessel nod in understanding and the palantir shift to Konoha, where the Nazgul were now just about to fly over. It's time to see what the Leaf will do and how they'll react to being robbed of the Hyuga heiress. Roshi said as he and the other two moved toward the orb. It should be pretty funny, Naruto said with a wild grin as he, Sasuke, and Kakashi watched the drama unfold in front of them. This was the beginning of the end. At the moment in Konoha, Hinata didn't need her Byakugan to know that Anbu was watching her from the rooftops as she did her usual things in the Leaf and spent time with people she liked. Or at least pretended to like, since the people she was with only pretended to like Naruto, but in the end did nothing to defend him and instead celebrated his departure. She was one of the few people in the Leaf who had secretly been sad about Naruto leaving 4 years ago and wished things hadn't gone as badly as they had. Hinata thought, they're probably making sure I don't run away from the life that awaits me if Naruto-kun doesn't find a way to get me out of here. She had talked to the Hokage about this because she didn't want to be with a man who was old enough to be Tsunade's father. And what for? After having the seal put on her forehead, she would be forced to sleep with a man who would father a child who would turn out like him. She'd rather die than live. Hinata told Tsunade something, but Tsunade just told her to get over Naruto because he was a monster and betrayed the Leaf. Hinata said that the Leaf had betrayed him and gave examples of how he had hurt him. She asked why Naruto hadn't left sooner because of this. Hinata was right there in the Hokage's office. Tsunade had given the Hyuga girl a bitter look, and now she knew how much it hurt the woman. When she was younger, Tsunade lost almost everything, from her lover to her little brother, and Kushina was the last thing that killed her tolerance. Even though Naruto was Kushina's son, Tsunade didn't care because she didn't have a connection with him. She had left to let all the anger build up while ignoring the responsibilities Kushina had given the Slug Princess as a godparent in case she died. Tsunade didn't take care of Naruto because she thought it would help her get revenge on the cosmic forces and Kyuubi, who were working together to take away all her happiness. If Tsunade couldn't have a happy life, why should Naruto's be any different? Why should he be able to have what she couldn't in the Leaf? Hinata was very surprised that Tsunade would let her own bitter heart ruin what could have been a loving family-like relationship with Naruto, all for bitter, pointless revenge against something she couldn't see. Also, the woman was willing to try to break up any relationship Naruto might have had if she thought she could. All over Konoha, there was a loud, soul-piercing shriek, and 9 people in black robes riding strange winged creatures flew down around Hinata. This scared people, and even shinobi ran for cover so they wouldn't get caught in the creature's claws. All around her, Nazgul flew around buildings and destroyed large parts of roofs. They grabbed shinobi and dropped them from dangerous heights or threw a group of them through buildings. Hinata was the only one who wasn't scared because she had been expecting them since her last conversation with Naruto in the dream world. She jumped onto a nearby roof where the Witch King of Angmar was waiting for her. "My lord has sent me to take you to him," the Witch King of Angmar said, putting out his armored hand. Hinata took it without question. "Then I won't keep him waiting any longer," Hinata said as she got on the fell beast, just as Anbu appeared on the rooftops around them. "Stop where you are," shouted the Anbu captain as the rest of his team pulled out their guns. "Don't get in the way of a Nazgul's goal," said the Witch King as his fell beast attacked without warning, biting off a piece of the Anbu captain's side, and then took to the air as the former king of men in Middle-earth let out another shriek of terror that everyone could hear. "Go get him. Don't let him take the Hyuga," said another Anbu as they chased after the 9 ring wraiths and stopped when they flew too high into the clouds for them to follow. Hokage's officia a few minutes later. "What do you mean they took her?" asked Tsunade, who was furious that these winged creatures and the people who rode them had made a fool of her village. "It's exactly how we said it happened, Hokage-sama. We were watching Hyuga Hinata on your orders when they came from above on their winged beasts. They picked up shinobi and civilians and dropped them from high above or threw them into buildings they weren't already damaging. Our Anbu commander lost a large part of his side when a winged beast bit it off, and the Black Rider said, 'Don't get between a Naz.' Tsunade yelled, 'Get Jiraiya in here right now.' When she saw the group leave, she was already angry inside when Jiraiya came in through the window. Jiraiya said, 'This is about Hyuga Hinata being taken, isn't it?' He had seen the woman's angry face and figured out what he had done. 'It's Naruto. He's back, Jiraiya. I'm sure of it. Hinata would only betray the Leaf for one person, and he's gotten in touch with her through those dark things,' said Tsunade, pounding her fist on the desk. What do you want to do? Spies won't get us into Whirlpool, and even if we send an assassination team, we don't know how strong the defenses are, Jiraiya asked the woman who was ready to hurt something. Or a person. That's why we're sending a well-trained reconnaissance team to see what the hell is going on in Whirlpool. Send Neji with Kurenai, Kiba, Shino, and Lee, just in case we need assault experience with Shikamaru to help him plan a good way to fight Naruto after seeing what he's doing there, said Tsunade, seeing Jiraiya nod and go get the group. Naruto had already done something, so it was her turn. Isengard Whirlpool. Hinata ran up to him and said, Naruto-kun. They hugged each other and then kissed each other passionately. Naruto said, Hinata-chan, I've missed you so damn much. He then kissed her again, and everyone watched closely as the two lovers finally met again after being apart for years. So do I. Dreams are nothing compared to this moment, Hinata said as she kissed him more and more. Naruto asked, do you want to go somewhere more private? He could see that the girl was now blushing because people were watching them and because of what he was saying. Hinata said, yes, let's go. I've been waiting too long for this, my love. She let out a eep when he picked her up like a bride and carried her to the master bedroom. Same here. Don't bother us, or else. Naruto told the three demon ships, giving them a look that said hell would break loose if anyone bothered the two. When the two lovers walked into the room, Naruto put Hinata on the big bed. The girl below him quickly pulled him down onto the bed. They started kissing and running their hands over each other, feeling, touching, groping, and probing each other to figure out where to look to make the other person feel good. Soon, all of their clothes were on the floor around them, and they were left wearing only their underwear. Naruto was playing with Hinata's breasts after she took off her bra, and one of the Hyuga girls put her hand on the young man's boxers to feel the hard part of his body swell with male pride. Hinata said, make love to me, please. Because she couldn't take it anymore, and she could tell from his actions that he couldn't either. Gladly, Naruto Office of the Hokage. Are you sure about this, Hokage-sama? Naruto? The dead last? It sounds so far-fetched. Kiba asked. He didn't believe Naruto was behind this, even though he had been missing for 4 years after killing the Uchiha. Yes, I'm sure, Baka. What's more, Hyuga Hinata went with the shadowy rider of that creature to take him to Whirlpool and is probably doing horrible things to her. I want you to find out what's going on in Whirlpool, where Hyuga Hinata is, and rescue her if you have the chance, said Tsunade, who could see the group frowning and feel the anger they now had for Naruto. Kurenai asked, when do you want us to leave? She wanted her student back and planned to make Naruto pay for what he had done. Right away. Be careful, everyone. You don't know what Naruto will do to you if he catches you, Tsunade told them as she saw them nod and leave right away to get ready. Jiraiya asked Tsunade, are you sure you don't want me to go with them? When she saw her shake her head no. I need you here. I won't send my best shinobi to Whirlpool without a proper recon of the area. I know you've been there before, Jiraiya, but Naruto could easily change things while you're there with whatever he's unleashed on the world, and it wouldn't be smart to send you in with knowledge of terrain that's over 20 years old, said Tsunade, seeing that the Sannin agreed with her. I just hope they make it back alive. None of my best spies could get in, and they were some of my best, said Jiraiya, who knew that after losing a lot of spies to Whirlpool, his network's spies wouldn't take any jobs related to Whirlpool anymore. Me, too, Tsunade said when she saw the Sannin nod. When Hinata is brought back, make sure the seal works and makes her suffer more for this betrayal. Whirlpool. 4 days later. Remember, we need to be as quiet as possible and not make a sound, Kurenai said as she used a genjutsu to get through the huge fleet of ships and land on one of Whirlpool's beaches, several miles from the nearest port. Kiba asked, where should we look first? As the group made its way to the trees to hide in the shadows. There, they saw different animals that had never been seen before walking around. Shino pointed to the tall tower that hummed with power and scared his bugs very much and said, that tower. That's bad. I'm sure he's keeping Hinata there, Shikamaru said when he saw the Hyuga girl's sensei get angry. If he defiled her in any way, I'll kill him myself, and I'll do it in such a way that he'll beg for hell before I'm done. Kurenai said, making her hands into fists and wanting to face Naruto now. When an orc on a warg came out of the shadows under the tree the leaf shinobi were on, the warg sniffed around before growling. The group leader didn't say anything else. Soon, more orcs on wargs came out of hiding when they saw the orc talking to its pet. Their master had given them the ability to do this. The orc told the other orcs, "There are people here. My pet can smell them, and they are close. We should tell Lord Naruto about this, Monad." "He hates uninvited guests," said another orc with jagged teeth and piercings over his eyes and down his left cheek. "We can't no-tech yet. Lord Naruto and his new girlfriend don't want to be bothered," said Monad, who had his back to the leaf shinobi in the trees. For a second, he could feel the killer intent coming from the tree behind him, but then it went away. "They are in the trees behind Monad. We must leave now before they realize we know what's going on. Let them get close, then block their escape, and capture them so Lord Naruto can decide their fates," said another orc in their native language, which all orcs knew, just as all elves knew their language and skills because of their genetic memory. "Come on, stop talking. Let's talk to the 4 generals of Whirlpool about this for now," said another orc to make it seem like the 3 were fighting and get them to talk to the higher-ups before the warg riders left for Isengard. "Damn, those dog-like things smelled us," Kiba said. He wished Akamaru was with him, but decided not to bring him along because the dog was no longer a puppy and was too big to hide. "We have to keep going with the mission no matter what. We need to learn more about Naruto's plans for the elemental countries and how he runs his business," said Kurenai, and the group nodded in agreement. Shino said, "We'll move to the left of the tower. My bugs told me about a lookout area on top of a hill where we can see a lot of Whirlpool that isn't being used yet." The group nodded and headed in that direction. Lee finally asked, "What were those strange dog-like things? I've never seen anything like them before." He wanted to know what everyone was thinking because so many questions were coming to their minds. Maybe Naruto made something. Some kind of experimentation, like Orochimaru using his demonic chakra to change people into what they are now, Kurenai said about the boy Hinata had foolishly given her heart to, even though everyone had warned her about his demonic ties to the Kyuubi. That would explain those creatures that look like dogs. Kiba said, "They seemed unnatural in a way." He had a bad feeling about the group and was worried about what would happen if they were allowed to breed outside of Whirlpool. "Something about this place doesn't feel right. It feels like it's almost alive, but it's not, and I keep getting the feeling that we're being watched," Shikamaru said. He kept getting the feeling that there were eyes everywhere, and it was scary to feel so nervous all over his body. "Yes, I get it, Shikamaru. My eyes show me that there is a lot of movement all over Whirlpool. I see creatures making weapons, like the ones we saw earlier, and other things that look human but aren't." Neji looked at the tower with his Byakugan and saw a huge amount of demonic energy coming from it. He also saw strange creatures that were moving heavy things and could throw their weight around like an Akamichi could in a fight based on muscle power. The group went to the top of a large hill where the rebuilt fortress of Weathertop stood. Troops were about to move in after the Armory Addition and underground supply depot were built. They moved quickly up the hill while staying out of sight of the few orcs and elves who were in the area. It seemed too easy for them to get this far. These animals that did their jobs. Naruto knew that there were people in Whirlpool who shouldn't be there, but there was no rush to find them. No big army looking for them, no scouts, and no to just about everything else that would help find them. "There's something wrong." From where he was on the hill, Kiba said, "Something is very, very wrong." The hairs on the back of his neck stood up, and his instincts told him they should get the hell out of Whirlpool. Yugito said, "No shit, Sherlock," as he left Weathertop. Han, Roshi, and Fu did the same when they saw the group of Leaf Shinobi. "You? Your Yugito ni comes from Kumo. People say you hold the Nibi," Kurenai said. She was afraid Naruto would look for allies, but she never thought he would go to Kumo or Iwa, judging by the 2 men to Yugito's right. How did a shinobi from Taki end up here? Weren't they on Konoha's side? Did Naruto promise to give them something if they helped him? Scored 1. Roshi is next to me, Han is next to him, and then there's Fu. Roshi and Han are both from Iwa, in case you haven't been following the news. They left to find a life away from the pride and negativity of humans while they learned to control the demons inside their bodies. Before Naruto sent one of his Nazgul to give Fu a place here in Whirlpool, the people of Taki hated her, used her as a watchdog outside her village, and fed her scraps. He did the same for me when I was being chased by those 2 weird undead people in red cloud-covered cloaks and straw hats, Yugito said when he saw the Junin scowling at the four of them while the rest of the Leaf team stood guard. That's bad. There are 4 demon vessels. Even the weakest one is strong enough to kill us, and we don't know how strong the others are. When you put each one together in a certain way, it equals the 9 tails. Shikamaru thought, that's not good at all. These 4 could be better than Naruto, but they owed him too much to go against the Namikaze in his hospitality. As for your group, though, Naruto-sama has a rule about uninvited guests, and I'm pretty sure the Leaf and the other shinobi villages trying to spy on Whirlpool know all about it, Han said, noticing that the Leaf shinobi around them were getting tense. So you want to kill us and send our heads back? Neji said that he wouldn't give up without a fight and would hurt them. No. No, I'm not, said Naruto, who was now standing there with Hinata, who was wearing a royal kimono that had survived Whirlpool's first death and was fixed so that Hinata could wear it. Monster. Said Kurenai as she quickly made hand signs and used her genjutsu to trick Naruto into thinking he was tied to a tree and a Leaf Junin was ready to cut his throat open with a kunai. Don't be so dramatic, Naruto said as he used his chakra to send the woman flying off his back. Kurenai got up, but Hinata quickly hit her with a disabling gentle fist attack. This made the woman temporarily unable to move, and the Leaf Shinobi could only watch in shock as her former student walked over to Naruto and kissed him on the lips. It was an insult to God. Then, Kurenai noticed that Hinata didn't look the same as she had before. She was thinner and had more muscle, and she had fox ears on her head, which made her realize what had happened since the Hyuga girl had been in Whirlpool. Neji said, Hinata. He couldn't believe his eyes when he saw his cousin side with Naruto, but she was doing just that. Why do you look so shocked? I really like Naruto. He completes me. I refuse to get married to a man who is old enough to be my grandfather just so that my clan can get political favors in the future. You understand what I mean, Neji. What our family was going to do to me just to make that pig they wanted to be my husband happy. Even Jiraiya had to make a different version of the cage bird seal just so that old jerk could use it, so I wouldn't refuse to help make a baby with him. I would have thought that you, of all people, Kurenai-sensei, would be disgusted by such a thing, but if it means I can't be with Naruto, then it doesn't matter what I think about it, and it doesn't matter what the woman wants, either, said Hinata, looking back at Kurenai as she watched the angry woman try to fight against the paralysis that had taken over her body. He's an awful person, Hinata. He's a demon. Kurenai said to Hinata, trying to get through to her with her words. Yes, of course. Now, though. After I killed the Uchiha, the energy we released sent me to a realm, and when I got there, I became the new Kyuubi, Naruto told the Leaf Shinobi, who was looking at him with surprise. So, what happened to you that turned you into a Kyuubi? Lee didn't believe what Naruto said, even though he heard it with his own ears. Yep. And now I'm not the only one, because Hinata is my mate and has become my sexy vixen to rule with me, Naruto said when he saw his mate blush at what he said. You liar. Kurenai said, I'll castrate you for corrupting the mind and body of my students. Yugito soon kicked her in the face and put his foot on Kurenai's stomach, pressing hard until the Junin cried out in pain. Stop talking. People like you really make me sick. Even though the shinobi villages made us, they still hate us because we're different. How can you hate what you made? Your own weapons of war that you make so you can use them when you need to and then throw away when the war is over? If being human means being like you, then I'd rather become a demon like the one inside me and never go back. Yugito said before putting more pressure on Kurenai and hearing her cry out in pain again. As for the rest of you, my message to the shinobi villages must not have been clear enough, because they sent spies to my country to find out what was going on there. So, I think I need to say something more powerful to teach the Leaf a lesson, and you're going to help me do it, Naruto said as he walked toward the group of Leaf shinobi who were now getting ready to fight. Lee didn't want to betray Konoha, so he said, we'd rather die. I was so hoping you'd say that, Naruto said. Then, with a snap of his fingers, the illusion he'd made disappeared, revealing over 100 fully armored elves aiming arrows at them. Holy crap! Said Shikamaru as he turned around and saw more elves waiting to shoot if they tried to jump over the hill. There's no way you can get away. When it comes to shooting arrows, no one is better than the elves. A single elf could shoot arrows at all of you as soon as the muscles in your bodies told you to move, before they stopped you from doing the same thing, Naruto said, seeing that Shikamaru was thinking about how to get out of Whirlpool alive. So you're saying that we're going to die here, and there's nothing we can do about it, Shikamaru said when he saw Naruto nod and smile. You didn't really think I'd let you all out of here alive so you could tell everyone what's going on, did you? When Naruto saw Shikamaru shake his head no, he told him, no. Even if we could get away from you, your 4 generals, this army of elves behind us, and the one in front of us, we would still have to get to our boat and row through that army of ships, not to mention those black riders on those winged beasts. You've got us in checkmate, Shikamaru said when he saw that the Leaf team was looking at him in shock. Glad you see it that way, Shikamaru, Naruto said with a smile as he pointed at the elves behind him and told them to shoot. The elves hit the group from the Leaf with their arrows with deadly accuracy. The ground was where they were. Except for 2. Yuhi Kurenai and Yuga Neji. Why? You saved me? Why? Neji, who was coughing up blood and staring at Naruto, who had red eyes and was glaring at him with Hinata, agreed. Exempted you? What an insult. Neji, I didn't save your life. I'm just giving Hinata the same amount of kindness you showed her at the Chunin exam preliminaries. Or do you just not remember that? You wanted to kill Hinata for going against her so-called fate by losing to you, so Naruto said, it's only fair that I do the same to you in my own way. He then raised his steel-toed boot and slammed Neji's head down hard on the ground with it. You cretin. You paid off his debt when you beat him in the Chunin exam finals. Said Kurenai just before Yugito kicked her in the ribs hard enough to make her roll toward him. What does he owe me? Fool. Hinata was the one who owed him. Since they were kids, she has done everything she can to make Neji happy, even if it means sacrificing her own happiness. Even after the fight between us was settled at the Chunin exam finals, he still treated Hinata with contempt and disgust, like she was lucky to have someone fight for her. Neji didn't say anything when he heard that his cousin was going to be forced to marry that old pig. He probably loved the idea that his cousin would have to suffer so that he could get back some of the clan honor he lost when his dad died. Neji owed Hinata his life, and it had been a long time since he had paid up. Naruto said this before his warg riders came back on their animals to report what they had found. My lord, we have all checked Whirlpool again. Monad said, it looks like there are no more intruders, as he saw Naruto nod in agreement and turned to see the dead Leaf Nin. When Naruto saw this, he looked at the bodies and then at the wargs, who seemed hungry for some fresh meat. That's great. As for your wargs, I bet they're hungry after all this scouting. They've worked hard and deserve a good meal. Dig in, Naruto told the dead Leaf Nins after the elves had taken everything useful from their bodies. Monster. Said Kurenai before Hinata's foot pushed her face into the dirt. It's not like the Leaf was any nicer to Naruto-kun. How many Inuzuka dogs went looking for Naruto just for fun so they could tear through his skin? How many adults like you let it happen and laughed at his expense? Who's going to laugh now? It's not all that funny, is it? Hinata said this as she turned Kurenai's head to the side so she could see the wargs eating her friends. Now the question is, what to do with you? Naruto said as he looked at Kurenai and thought about what could happen. I don't mind dying. Your time to be judged will come soon, monster. Kurenai said defiantly to Naruto, and Hinata's foot pushed her deeper into the dirt as a reward for her words. Die? Oh, Yuhi Kurenai, you don't get it. No, we won't kill you. Well, at least not yet. I want you to see how everything fits into my grand plan when I crush Konoha under my feet. I want you to see for yourself how far I will go to punish the Leaf for betraying my family, just like you did when I was 6 and you broke up my family. Don't you remember that day? If I remember that day correctly, you were a newly made Chunin who was sent by the Sandame to watch me in my apartment. The Sandame told you how to knock on the door to let me know it was you. When I opened the door to greet you that day, I didn't see your face. Instead, I saw Sarutobi Asuma and a group of people ready to bite off a chunk of my behind. When I jumped through my own window and ran to the Sandame's office before Asuma caught me, I just barely got away. Of course, he almost did, but I dodged at the last second and gave him a good kick in the nuts for trying to cut me in half, Naruto said when he saw Kurenai's shocked expression. That's why he broke up with us. You ruined our relationship for a good month. Said Kurenai angrily, remembering how Asuma had asked her out on a date in exchange for the knock sequence his father gave to the Chunin at the time so he and the mob could kill Naruto. After that, she got ready for her date that night, but when she got there, she found Asuma in the hospital, unable to go because Naruto had hit him so hard that he was bleeding. Kurenai tried to get back at Naruto for that, but before she could find him, the Sandame sent her to his office and asked her to explain how the mob knew the special knock sequence he gave her. When Kurenai couldn't give a good answer, she knew that not only her career, but also Asuma's, was in danger. Asuma was one of the 12 guardian ninjas and made sure that the two of them were kept in check until the Hokage decided that they could be anywhere near Naruto. Her punishment was a lot of low-level D-ranked missions. You broke your promise to Naruto-kun for a small date? Hinata growled at her former sensei, saying, you barely knew that cigarette-smoking baka back then. She was tempted to crush the woman's head like Naruto had done to Neji. He was Sarutobi, the Sandame's child. Any woman who turned him down for a date would have been crazy, Kurenai said. She felt shallow at the time, but that's what girls did, and after Asuma left, she felt like she couldn't be with anyone else. So, she had the reputation of being an ice queen, until Asuma came back and they decided to date in secret. How sad. Just like the Uchiha's fangirls. They were always fawning over him because he was the last Uchiha in the leaf, Naruto said as he waved his hand to call two elves to his side. Your order, my lord, one of the elves replied. Tie this one up and throw it into the prison. Assign someone to feed her, but make sure her hands and feet stay tied until we're ready to move the army, Naruto said when he saw the two elves nod. He then quickly tied the woman up and took her to the underground dungeon not far from Isengard. Sooner or later, the Hokage will find out that her team failed, and she'll think the worst, Han said, knowing that a war with the Leaf was inevitable. I'm sure that the Hokage will. I understand what she thinks. I know that, in general, the Leaf thinks better than they do. Get the army ready. I want them to get to the beaches of Fire Country in 3 days and not a second later, Naruto said as he and Hinata walked away, and Hinata could see the anger in his eyes. Take it easy, my love. We have the advantage of being unexpected. By the time the Hokage figures out that the team she sent here has been caught and killed, we'll be ready to lay siege to Konoha, Naruto said, knowing that his anger at their old home was eating him up inside and that nothing short of destroying it would make him feel better. I'm sure of my love. Just the past coming back to haunt me. I hate those memories, Naruto said as he leaned down to touch Hinata's head gently. I also dislike those memories. Hinata smiled at Naruto and said, I'd rather make new ones with you in bed. Naruto gave her a wicked grin. You sure? Naruto said, I didn't think you were so eager to get pregnant so soon, my naughty little vixen. They had been mating a lot the past few days, so it was only a matter of time before she was pregnant. Hinata said, as Naruto put his hand on her rear and gave her a good groping that sent shivers up her spine, I don't care if that wonderful dream I've had for a long time comes true. I just want to enjoy every second I have with you and heal our hearts, which have been hurting from being apart for too long. Then let's not put this off any longer. Naruto said to Hinata with a smile, my generals can take care of the army preparations for now, and I can always send a message to Gaara before we leave for Fire Country. Hinata smiled back. Konoha Hokage's officia 5 days later. Kazekage-sama, I want to thank you for talking to me after I got your message about Whirlpool and what you know about their plan to attack Konoha, said Tsunade when she saw Sabaku no Gaara sitting across from her in his Kazekage robes. He was wearing a neutral, emotionless mask, just like he had been 4 years ago at the Chunin exams, which made it impossible to tell what he was feeling. Despite what happened 4 years ago, we are still allies, and that should be respected. It wasn't easy for me to get this information. I lost a lot of my spies and shinobi in order to get what I sent you, Gaara said, making sure to rub salt in the wounds between the two villages. Gaara may respect the alliance between the two shinobi villages, but his real loyalty was to Naruto and what the Namikaze did for him back then. Gaara got back his humanity, his family, and the respect of his own village 4 years ago because of Naruto. Without Naruto, Gaara would have been a monster who would have come back to haunt them before they died. Not only that, but the rest of the elemental countries didn't know that Naruto had helped him when 2 Akatsuki members were trying to find him because of his demon. I know what you mean, Kazekage-sama. I've lost shinobi and spies to Whirlpool forces, so I know how you feel, said Tsunade with a smile. Gaara just nodded, and the Hokage wondered if the younger Kage in front of her knew Naruto was the leader of Whirlpool. Should she tell him at all? No. If she did, the alliance between the two villages might fall apart, and Suna might become the Leaf's enemy. She couldn't let something bad happen. From what I've heard, the leader of Whirlpool is making plans for a big army to invade Fire Country and attack Konoha soon. So, I've put my troops in key strategic spots around Konoha to help strengthen its defenses and protect your village from any kind of attack, Gaara said. Looking at Tsunade was surprised by this, but she didn't think the Kazekage would plan to betray her and join the enemy. even if the enemy was Naruto and didn't know it. Tsunade hoped at least that Gaara wouldn't know it was Naruto. Thank you, Kazekage-sama, for your help. With your help, I'm sure we can stop the leader of Whirlpool's plan and stop their invasion, Tsunade said as he waved his hand and watched Gaara leave her office. Gaara thought, such a thing happening is unlikely. As he tried to stop himself from smiling cruelly and told his siblings about the situation. During this, Tsunade called Jiraiya to her office, where the Toad Sage was thinking carefully about what was going on. When Tsunade thought Naruto was the leader of Whirlpool, she asked Jiraiya to use his spy network to find out if the Kazekage had any contact with Gaki, but the Toad Sannin found nothing of the sort. If Naruto and Gaara had a way to talk to each other, it was probably destroyed or they didn't have a way to talk at all. Tsunade asked Jiraiya, who had sat down to think, what has your spy network told you about the other shinobi villages? Besides the fact that most of them are angry about losing their own demon vessels? Nothing much. Iwa lost 2 of theirs when they went bad, Kumo lost 1 and the Raikage is keeping an eye on the other, and I just heard that Taki's has taken off, Jiraiya said, noticing that Tsunade's eyes were narrowing as she listened to this explanation. I want this village to be ready to fight off enemy invaders and to be ready to defend itself. He's on his way, Jiraiya. Tsunade said, Naruto is coming here with an army to crush us. She saw Jiraiya nod, so she knew he knew that their recon team had probably failed and probably paid with their lives. A dark chapter in the Leaf was about to be written with the blood of its people, ironically by one of its own who wanted it to be the last chapter in Konoha's history and slam the book shut on its dramatic ending. Hokage, please. Hokage, please. Outside of the village's wall, there is a fire. In fact, all the sides of the village with plants are burning for a total of 500 feet. Said a Chunin who came into the room looking terrified. What? Send out shinobi who can use water jutsus to put them out, Tsunade said when he saw that the man had more to say. Yes, we are, but the fire doesn't make sense. As Tsunade's eyes widened, the Chunin said, it's a bluish-black that almost seems to be alive. Several shinobi have already been badly burned by it for trying to touch it, and some have been killed by its consuming presence. It must be the ship from Nibi. Jiraiya told the Hokage, that's the color of her demonic chakra. The Hokage nodded, and Jiraiya ran out of her office to see how bad the weather was. When the Slug Princess went to the Hokage monument to look around, she felt her heart freeze with fear when she saw the flame and what was behind it. Behind the walls of Konoha was a huge army of creatures, none of which were human. They wore heavy armor and carried swords, spears, shields, spiked metal clubs, and bows with arrows ready to shoot. Tsunade was even more scared when she saw that the army wasn't just at one of Konoha's gates, but at all of them, and that the more heavily armored side of the army was already yelling for blood. Each side was led by a different general, who was a demon ship from a different village. Each general wanted to get back at the Leaf in his or her own way. Naruto was in charge of them, and Hinata was by his side. Hinata-chan, what do you think? Should I give Tsunade a chance to hand over Konoha to me? Naruto said this when he saw that his wife was looking at Konoha with her eyes. Why not, Naruto-kun? Even though we both know she won't, Hinata said. She knew that Tsunade would never give Naruto Konoha in any way. Naruto nodded in agreement, but he also tried to be polite in some ways. He signaled for the orc with the white flag to stand in the middle, which would be a neutral spot for their meeting. His generals heard about the meeting between their lord and the Hokage, so they didn't fight until they were told to. Now that the metal pole with the white flag was in the ground, elves came with a table, 2 chairs for each side in case Tsunade brought someone with her, and a tent to keep both sides out of the sun. Shizune had been told to take charge of the hospital, so Naruto soon saw Tsunade leaving with Jiraiya. You're here. I didn't know if you would or not. But I'm glad you did, Naruto said when he saw the cold, angry look on Tsunade's face. This is a very brave thing to do, Naruto. After all that the Leaf has done for you, this invasion is what you give them and me in return. Tsunade said this as she sat down next to Jiraiya, who was standing with his arms crossed and scowling at Naruto. If by everything you mean hating, abusing, and making my life miserable while you two went to have your own fun and ignored your godparent duties, then yes, I am, Naruto said, seeing the shock in their eyes. That's what the Sandame said. Didn't he? Jiraiya asked, knowing that there was only one person who could have told Naruto, and that person was now dead. When I was a kid. I had just made it through another day that I called hell. I had had enough of Leaf's nonsense, and he knew it. So, when I found out the truth, I made him train me in secret, and everyone thought he was too busy with paperwork to notice that the Hokage training me was actually a shadow clone. I had skills that kept people from finding out how strong I really was, and I learned how to put seals on my body that made everyone think I was weak. I broke those seals when I was fighting Sasuke because he was going to Orochimaru no matter what, and I killed him for it, Naruto said, looking at the two daggers that were staring at him. He could have been saved, you baka. Tsunade yelled, slamming her fist on the table. She looked up and saw the elves about 200 feet away, getting ready to shoot arrows at them. No matter how much the leaf kissed Uchiha Sasuke's ass to make him think otherwise, he was a traitor, and I suggest you keep your temper in check, old hag. My archers are the best at what they do, and they can pick a fly off your graying hair while keeping it alive to make it die slowly. Don't give them a reason to shoot at you now, Naruto told the woman, who was carefully watching the elves. He then looked at Jiraiya, knowing that he would protect Tsunade if he had to, even if that made him a target. Why did you want us to meet here? To make yourself happy? To brag about how you got off your leash? Jiraiya said when he finally saw Naruto smirk with amusement. I asked Tsunade to come here and hand over Konoha and all its people to me, Naruto said when he saw the woman and Jiraiya staring at him with icy eyes. It's impossible. I'll never give you Konoha. The leaf will never be yours, whether you were a loyal shinobi or an enemy of the clan. You can send your army here to attack us, make demands, and threaten us as much as you want. But I can tell you right now that no leaf child will ever bow down to a foreign ruler. Even more so for a dirty demon like you. Tsunade said this, hoping that Naruto would get angry, trip, and give her a chance to smash his face off. Instead, Naruto just smiled in a wild way, and his eyes lit up red with a strong desire to kill. Then every son and daughter of the leaf will die. Naruto said. He could smell fear on Tsunade and a little on Jiraiya, but Jiraiya was better at hiding it. Forget about Naruto. I can call the toads, and Gamabunta can beat any army you send against us, Jiraiya said. He had seen Naruto smile before he took off the necklace Tsunade had given him years ago and held it in his right hand. Bring him in by all means. I'll just tell the Toad Boss who I am and how you ignored my dying father's last request. When that happens, who do you think he will be on? What's yours? Or will he probably be on mine? Naruto asked Jiraiya, who was cursing the fact that Gamabunta respected Naruto and the Yondaime much more than the Sannin. Naruto, I still have my slugs, too. Even though I haven't been a good godmother to you, they're still loyal to me, Tsunade said, hoping that the Slug Queen would scare her enemy into rethinking his plan to invade. Alright. Bring your slugs to battle against me. Outside of the toads, I have a summons of my own. It's something so scary that even Orochimaru and his snake summon would tremble in fear, Naruto said when he saw the surprise in their eyes when he told them he had such a summon. Jiraiya was too curious to hold back and asked, what kind of summons? I got one while I was traveling in the land called Middle-earth. A creature of shadow and fire. Naruto said with a cruel laugh that scared the two people in front of him. You'll never win. Not as long as the will of fire, which is in all the loyal people of Konoha and will fight you until the end, Tsunade said when she heard Naruto laugh again. You should be careful when you talk like that about the will of fire, you old hag. You might even get burned. Naruto said as he crushed the green jewel in his hands and let the dusty pieces fly away in the wind. Enough is enough. This time together is over. I promise that the next time we meet, we will be on the battlefield and I will have your heart in my hands, Tsunade said. She took Naruto's actions as a personal insult to her family and couldn't stand to be near her godson anymore. You should keep your promises, my godmother, and never make ones you can't keep, Naruto said as he kept grinning like there was no tomorrow, even though he knew there wasn't for the leaf. Tsunade and Jiraiya glared at Naruto again and then left without saying anything to him. They went back to Konoha to tell everyone what was going to happen. The tent was taken down, the neutrality flag on the metal pole was taken down, and the chairs and table were taken away while Naruto and Hinata walked back. Hinata said to Naruto, I told you she wouldn't agree, Naruto-kun, when she saw him nod. I've met Hinata-chan. I just wanted to talk to her one more time before this happens in a nice way. Is the catapult ready to deliver the special package? When Naruto saw Hinata nod, he spoke up. Yes. Our 4 spies in Konoha have told us that all of the civilians are safe and that Gaara is in place with his troops. When the signal is given, the Ents will attack from their position just outside the entrance to the Forest of Death, and they will attack from inside to help Gaara's forces that he brought from Suna, Hinata said as she saw Naruto smiling at her and passionately kissed the woman's lips. It's time to start the end, Naruto said as an elf came up to him and gave him the black-sheathed samurai sword that was to be the Namikaze's second most valuable weapon. Are you going to charge into the battle without me? Hinata said that she didn't want to miss this, and he knew that she didn't. The battle would be over in an hour if we charged in there first.
Why have an army if you're not going to use it?
I'm going to let my troops enjoy themselves as they fight the Leaf. They worked hard to get here, so they deserve it. For now, we'll just watch and enjoy the show before getting involved, Naruto said, then signaled for another elf to come forward and give Hinata a silver bow staff that looked like his golden one but had lavender runes with seals on them. Hinata looked at the weapon in awe and asked, "For me?" After she looked at it, she gave her lover a passionate kiss on the tongue. I take it you like your gift? Naruto asked Hinata as she gave him another kiss. This time, she used more tongue and ground against him. Oh, I guess I agree. When this war with the Leaf is over, you'll see and feel how much I like this gift, Hinata said, knowing it made Naruto's blood boil with lust. Damn. Maybe we should put off the invasion until we're no longer so horny. It's too bad Tsunade isn't still here, because we could tie her up and make her watch just to annoy her, Naruto said, which made Hinata gasp and give him a light tap on the shoulder. Hinata said, pervert. But then she yelled, eep. When Naruto grabbed her behind and made her soft with the way he moved his hand. Yeah, but I'm your pervert, and you love every act one due to your sexy body, Naruto said after hearing Hinata moan at his magical touch and taking his hand away. Damn you and your hands, Hinata said, giving up. Just showing you who the master of this game is, my dear, Naruto said before getting back to the serious business at hand. He told his orc in charge of the catapult with the special delivery to send the package to the Leaf to let them know he meant business. The orc in question told the mountain troll to drop the axe on the rope that was tied to the catapult launcher. This made the package fly right into Konoha. Tsunade was there to see what Naruto's forces had sent to Konoha when the package crashed through the roof of a building, hit a telephone pole, and then landed on the ground. Only to find out that the object wasn't a what but a who. The who made Tsunade's heart stop again because she knew who it was. Yuhi Kurenai did it. Yuhi Kurenai, who was nearly dead and almost unrecognizable because he had been beaten so badly, was thrown into the Leaf by someone who had used the gentle fist taijutsu, based on the injuries he had before he was thrown in. The luscious hair on her head that made her so beautiful had been shaved off. The Leaf symbol had been carved into her head, and the word, hypocritical slut, was written just above her breasts in a way that wouldn't come off. A single note was stuck to the body of a woman who was barely alive and barely breathing. Her blood was slowly getting on the note, so Tsunade took it off before she could read it. Traitors get what's coming to them. Both you and the Leaf will soon die. Tsunade heard a loud roar from outside the gate that didn't sound human, and she knew that Yuhi Kurenai would be the first person to die in the second invasion of Konoha.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.